Right. Let me share my screen. So I mean, I do have some things to show you guys. Is this the right? This one. I do have some things to show you guys, but I also want to talk about what you guys want to talk about. So, um, oop, let's pull, where'd my tabs go? Drag this guy over. All right. Cool. So Aspen, we'll go back to our CW Mars page here. Um, I'm sure Carol has talked a little bit about it. Um, this is the CW Mars page. So we kind of have a few layers of our catalogs. We have a consortial catalog, and then all of our individual libraries have their own catalog with one library catalog for all the branches if they're a branch system. Um, Now, we don't have anything side loaded at the consortial level, but Aspen does have a few ways to put in additional content outside of what's in Evergreen. So we do have a Overdrive connection through API. You can get Libby titles automatically sent in through that. You don't have to load them in through Evergreen or anything like that. I assume other people were doing that. We were doing that. I would always send Carol my Overdrive files when I was working at a library. Um, but those automatically come in through Aspen, and that is just like Libby titles, ebooks, e-audio. That does not include Canopy. So Canopy is something that does need to be sideloaded in Aspen. What that means is that you have to have network staff, right, automatically add that. So I'm going to show you what that looks like on the front end, and then I figured I could show you guys a little bit of what that looks like on the back end, if that sounds good. So I'm going to pull up the Amherst catalog. I've already done this search actually. So this is one of our member libraries, and they are one of the libraries who are sideloading a good chunk of their I don't know, databases, other resources into the catalog. So if you look at this e-content collection filter on the left-hand side, you can see a few options. We have the Libby titles, and that's coming from the Overdrive API connection. And then we have these Amherst Canopy, Amherst Learning Express, Amherst Creative Bug, Amherst Udemy, and Amherst Mango. These are all different amounts of records that have been sideloaded by Carol or Catalog Center staff. So you can see this is what Canopy titles look like. These cover images, for the most part, are coming from Canopy, I believe. They might also pull from some of the free resources that Aspen can look at for cover images. But if you want to look for Canopy titles, it's here in the catalog. These links do take patrons to the Canopy site. And it'll be, since we're sideloading these individually for libraries, this is just going to take us directly to Amherst's Canopy. You can see, I don't know if it actually says Amherst on here. Oh, it says it in the URL, Jones
URL, yeah.
Library, right? I thought it used to say it somewhere, like on where it tells you to sign in, but maybe
It
not,
varies.
right? That we love Overdrive. So that is what Canopy looks like in Aspen. I'm going to show you also what a couple of these other side-loaded resources look like before we look at the back side of things. Um, let's do Creative Bug. Those are videos too, right? So these ones don't really seem to have cover images. I feel like I have seen some Creative Bug records have cover images, but those can be included in your sideload. You can also manually upload cover images. We'll talk about custom cover images in just a little bit. But you kind of see the same format. These are e-videos. You have an access online link. You see, since it's always available, they just have to have their library card to use it. You see an available online status, and one copy because it's just uh, one user, one copy, right? Or not that, sorry. I'm here. So this is kind of what it looks like on the front end, but if we look on the back end, I'm going to go into our Aspen administration. And Aspen has a search for a setting feature that I love because you don't have to scroll for stuff that you're looking for. So I'm going to type in side loads. Side loads are their own separate, Aspen calls them modules. So you have to like turn that on. You don't have to use them if you don't want to. We have it set up so that currently, libraries do not have access to this. It is only network staff. So me, Carol, other folks at CW Mars, and no one else. That is because currently libraries can see everyone's side loads. So we have our Aspen stuff locked down fairly well so that the libraries can only see stuff related to their library. They only see their theme, they only see their browse categories, a few other things. But for these side loads, those permissions aren't that granular at the time. We are working on it. That is coming in the future, though, so stay tuned. But currently, we have all of this set up so that it's just the network staff. And because it's network staff, also, we are including the town names in each of these. Just to help us kind of keep track of everything, and also because, well, Amherst has a canopy, but also Berlin has a canopy side load, and Chicopee has a canopy side load, right? So we're doing it for a good, this is, I feel like, more than I thought we were doing. Carol, you've been doing a lot of work.
I
But
know.
so we have a lot, right? This I feel like has grown since I last looked at this. But to show you guys what the canopy stuff looks like, I'm going to open up that Amherst canopy record. And so here's kind of what the settings look like on the back end of Aspen. So you can see the name here. This is what is showing up for the patron. We just are naming this town whatever the resource is, just for consistency's sake. You can change the label of that button. So since these are all online resources, we have it set to access online. But for side loading, you can, if there's mark for it, you can sideload it. So it doesn't have to be an online resource. It could be museum passes, or I've seen other networks talk about sideloading their library of things, but I don't know if you don't put your library of things in Evergreen, then you could sideload that into Aspen if you wanted. But if you maybe had a physical thing, you could say, place hold or like pick up, whatever it is. Um, you can let Aspen know whether or not you want it to show a status, so you can turn that off. Um, this URL component, some of the stuff is kind of back-end stuff that you don't always need to touch. This URL component is for the like back end where files are stored in Aspen. Um, you can see here the mark path canopy Amherst is there. That's just the file name basically. If we keep scrolling though, the record number tag and record number subfield, Carol, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I believe these are fields that you would need to update with the sideload.
So 001A, they are the default. And so that usually is correct, but I think there's one or two cases we found where that does need to be updated.
Okay. So this
So
is telling
basically,
Aspen,
the first
go
time
for it.
you're setting up, you want to look at those MARC records to know what you're doing. That's all.
And this is why Carol does it. So she can look at the MARC records. Um, so these settings here are telling Aspen like where to look at for the record info, right? You can also, per sideload, tell it how to treat languages, or an unknown language if you want it to be set as unknown. This is a free text field. I'm not going to change this, but we have it set to English because we're just defaulting. If we don't know the language in the mark, then we'll say it's English. Um, and if it's undetermined, same thing. You can adjust that for your library's terminology, your network's terminology. Um, we also have this include personal and corporate names in the topics facet that can be turned on and off. We have item information. This here is again telling Aspen where to get that item information from your side load. Um, We have options in Aspen for where you load the format from. So in this case, you can load it from the BIP record. So it's determined that it's an e-video from looking at the BIP record. You can have it set to look at the item record, and that would be separate from the BIP record. I think the item record is for the copy. I would need to double check myself on that.
Yeah.
But Carol also agrees, so I'm going to run with that. But you can also specify a value. So the specified value here, if you clicked, if you added something, you could say Canopy Video and have that as your format if you wanted, right? So I'm going to delete this because I'm not actually going to save anything here. Um, you can, you have some flexibility with what it shows up in the catalog as. This format category is also used for Aspen's grouping. So Aspen kind of, the format categories are available when you're searching. The way I'll pull up some search results here. The way I describe them to patrons are like how you want to consume the media. We have books, audiobooks, okay, books, ebooks, audiobooks, music, and film and TV. Those are the format categories in Aspen. So books is going to be like books, large print, serial, any print stuff, basically. Ebooks is any ebook content. Audiobooks is audio and e-audio. And music is going to be any of those CDs. Uh, Cassettes. I know some people still have cassettes that are circulating. Film and TV is going to be like DVDs, Blu-rays, VHS, all that fun stuff. Um, so you can specify the format category for your side load. So maybe less so if you're doing, something like Canopy, but if you're maybe doing a physical item or something like that, you can kind of force it to go where you want it to go. And then Aspen will tell you when the last update was. So in this case, Amherst recently sent us a update for their Canopy records. So Carol or some other Cat Center staff went and updated these records. Now, these are a bunch of settings that I've shown you, but this isn't like the mark, right? Where do you upload? Where do you add these files? If we scroll up on the same screen, you'll see these buttons here at the top, return to list, history, delete, view mark files, and upload mark file. View mark is going to show up once you've uploaded stuff, but upload mark file is what you will use to upload the mark to Aspen, and that's going to be how you actually are side loading your records. If I click view, I don't know if I've actually done this before. Cool. So if you click view, you can see the last file that was uploaded. So this is a Canopy file from the 4th that they sent us. Um, if you wanted to manually delete a side load, maybe the file is bad or something is appearing weird, or you're just, I don't know, the library's not subscribing to things anymore, what have you, you can actually manually delete those records, but you can also just delete. Oh, that took me right back out. You can just like delete the settings, the scope here. If I pull that open, that will allow it to the sideload to exist, but for it to not appear on a catalog. This can be useful if you maybe have a library who's like not sure if they're going to upload something. Maybe it's outdated and they're working on getting up-to-date information, but they don't want it to show up on their catalog in the meantime, etc. You can still have the files in Aspen, but have them not appearing on the library catalog. So this is the Canopy Sideloads scope settings, so how it shows up on the catalog. And since it's Canopy, this is just including all the titles. We're not specifying this. We don't limit by audience for these. This could be useful on like a kid's catalog, though, for example. Um, this is Aspen does allow for URL replacement, which can be helpful if you're sharing a sideload between libraries. We don't use that. We just do individual sideloads for each of our libraries. But then this setting here, library, is how you're actually applying that sideload to your catalog. So if I were to delete this here, then Canopy would no longer be showing up on the Amherst catalog. All right. That's a little bit of some talking about like Canopy and side loading in general, but some things that I want to really like note. Uh, Side loading is manual maintenance, right? So you can see all of these records here. Carol and our Cat Center staff. Oh, look, it's 26 because we're showing 25 per page. So we have 26 side loads on our instance right now. And when this involves library staff getting these updated MARC records from the vendors, and then we have them upload these updated files to our FTP server. Then they submit a ticket to say, hey, we've uploaded our files. Carol and Cat Center staff will go take a look, uh, maybe make some changes to the MARC if needed, question mark for Carol. Um,
Um, yeah, in a couple of cases, and I can't remember which one it is, but there's one that the mark isn't very good, so we basically do nothing to it but break it and remake it with MarcEdit. That's seriously the only thing we do. Otherwise,
oh,
it shows up wrong.
that just sounds that sounds fun, you know?
Yeah, it's quick.
Right. But since this is all manual work, right? If library staff don't get the updated files or they get it and they don't send it to us, there's a risk for outdated collection information to be in the catalog, which for something like Canopy, right? If you say you have a title, that could be frustrating for a patron if they click it and then Canopy's like, actually, I don't have that, right? So that is something to be aware of. We do try to let libraries know, like, hey, if you don't send us new MARC, we're not going to get new MARC. So this can be out of date. Just be aware of that. Um, I see there's some stuff in the chat, so I'm going to pause for a second.
My question was basically answered by Heather. I was asking about whether those are complete MARC sets that they're sending you for the entirety of the collection from Canopy or wherever, or are they Delta files for what's just been added and removed?
Perfect. Thanks, Ruth. And thank you, Heather, for answering.
Yes. There is, I think, Tumble Books only send their updates. Apparently, it is not possible to get the entire file. Um, so that we do add on, but everyone else we tell in general that you have to get the complete file. It's easier because if you have to delete records, that's more complicated than just loading a file.
Thank you.
Yeah, I will say we do tell folks try to get like a full collection file. Don't give us the additions and deletions because as Carol mentioned, that makes it a lot more difficult. If you just upload the new file, Aspen will like swap out, overwrite what needs to be overwritten. Um, yeah. All right. Side loads. That's kind of what I had for side loads. Any questions about that? I was going to talk about uh grouped works in maybe like things like museum passes, library of things, etc.
How often do you update like Canopy? Is it a weekly process?
They send them every month.
Every month. Okay.
But it varies. It's because some of the Canopy libraries don't actually update every month, and
Mhm.
that's fine. But some are very, first of the month, here's our file.
Yeah.
It it really depends on the library.
Can I sort this by last update? Oh, let's see.
I
All right,
didn't
we
even
have,
think about changing the sorting order.
oh yeah, I love doing that for a lot of stuff in Aspen. Right, we have Amherst in their canopy, Fitchburg in their canopy. That's all from the 8th. Oh no, you know what? Because the sideload indexing runs regularly, that's still going to be updated recently. But if you look at the
Mm.
last update of all records, that is probably better.
And I will say that there are limits to some files for like size wise. I think they say 75 megabytes. Now, Canopy is fine, but some of our,
Chicopee, their canopy hasn't been updated since July.
yeah, see, um, one of our academic libraries just updated their, I think it's eBook Central, and that I ended up having to split into 7 files to be able to upload it. And somebody did mention the, you know, changing the URLs in MarcEdit. I There is a way that you can specify URLs or segments of URLs in Aspen if necessary, so you don't need to do it every time. But that's part of why we're going to continue uh, doing the setup for the first load for each library and train libraries. We don't want them doing the setup because not all of our libraries would understand Mark.
All right. Thank you, Carol. Um, So, fun thing, I know there's also, right, some folks who are familiar with Aspen, so I don't know how much I need to talk about this. Let me know if I should just move on. But like Aspen does grouped works, very different from the Evergreen OPAC, right? Uh, this is what a grouped work in Aspen looks like. It is basically Aspen looking at the title, the author, the language, and I think the publication date? No, I think it's just those three. Oh, and the format type. So if it's a book or an audiobook or something like that, that's kind of the same expression. Aspen will group it all together. So this is, the Fellowship of the Ring in Evergreen. This would have been one, two, three, four, five, six. Oh gosh, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This is from Libby, so it might not have been in Aspen, but at least, or in Evergreen, at least 10 different records that patrons would have to scroll through if they were searching Fellowship of the Ring, right? Just to find the title that they're looking for. So Aspen will try to group these records together to make it easier for patrons to find the titles that they're looking for. Aspen uses a process called Ferberization to do that. Um, uh, uh, Mark formats and bibliographic
It,
records, something
it's
like that.
okay. It's fine.
Right?
Yes, thanks for
Something
sharing.
like that. No, I just wrote a whole thing about it, honestly. So that's why I'm like, I should know about this. But alas, you do have some control over this, though I will say we have had some issues with making records group, usually because of overdrive titles. The records get like weird. Um, but it basically is a lot of the times Carol is able to fix issues with overlaying records and getting updated information. Um, oh, look, Catherine coming in clutch. Thank you. Functional requirements of bibliographic records. Something like that. So, for the grouped stuff, you have a couple options. I'm logged in, so you'll notice as I'm scrolling down here, you'll see a group with button at the bottom of the record. That is only available to folks with permission. So for us, it's just CW Mars staff. But if you have records that are not grouping together, I'm going to show you guys the bane of mine and Carol's existence for the last several weeks. Uh, this title, La Belle Sauvage. We have been trying to get this to group with the E audio. So you can see this is several different records here. We have our books and audiobooks and ebooks, and then separately the e-audio is here. We've been trying to get this to group. I'm not going to actually click this because we've been working on this and it's having trouble. But if you wanted to group this in theory, you can click group with, and then Aspen will have you select these numbers correspond with the search result number. So in this case, I would click number one. I'm not going to, but I would click group here, and then Aspen would say, great, we've noted that. We'll work on it. I notice sometimes the grouping stuff, it seems like it usually happens overnight more so. It can get fixed like through a force reindex, but I usually wait till overnight to see if grouping stuff gets weird or gets fixed. But you can see manual grouping authorities in Aspen administration. There's a whole catalog slash grouped work section. This is stuff that we have told Aspen to manually group together. This is in alphabetical order by title. So the La Belle Sauvage, oh look, Belle Sauvage here is the alternate title. So Aspen should be grouping these titles together. For some reason, it's not. We're working on it. But you can go in and check all of these and relatedly, sorry, if you decide actually that's wrong, I didn't want to group those together, you can go in here and then delete the selected groupings. Let's see in the chat. Do you eventually go back to the mark to fix whatever's preventing records from grouping? I will say we generally try to do that first, right? Yes, Carol coming in. I usually end up going to Carol and being like, hi, I found some weird record stuff. I've kind of looked and I don't see anything obvious. Can you help me look? And then Carol will go and dig in and see if we can find anything. Um, I will 95% of the time, right? We've been able to get things to group. This is the first time in a while that I've been like, why won't you group? I don't understand. Lots of our author issues come from Hoopla records, which we don't have access to. Ooh. Are there other Hoopla libraries on your instance? I know that Aspen does, that might be related. So I know Aspen does the search suggestions pull from the whole instance. Um, the guy who wrote holes. There is. You gonna show me the Satchar? Thanks. This is my example. I promise it's related. So if you we had a patron looking for a book by a study guide for Louis Satcher's holes. I'm going to run this search. And it's not actually something that we own. It's a Hoopla title. So if we're on a Hoopla catalog, it will show up. I think East Longmeadow. Yes, so this is a Hoopla title, and the search suggestions come from there. So maybe there's some weird grouping happening. I will say we did recently have some weird grouping with, it was a Canopy title. Carol, do you remember the name of that? It was a Paul Newman movie.
Oh, right, right, right. That got remade and with Tiffany some uh, what is that? I can picture the cover image.
Right, right. No, I'm not going to open up in a new tab. That's going to be
I'll
rough,
look it up.
right? So we did have a weird grouping issue recently where we had um it was the cover image. Well, so the record, the search result record that we were looking at in search results showed the cover image and the title and like author info from the new whatever 2019 movie. And then the description was actually for the Paul Newman like 1999 movie or whenever it was. And that Paul Newman description was coming from Canopy Records on others' catalogs. Oh, nobody's fool. Let's see. Ah, yes, here. Nobody's fool. So, what we had here on the consortial catalog, right? We don't have Canopy or anything. We had this description here. It was showing up as the Paul Newman movie, Nobody's Fool description, which obviously Paul Newman is not in this movie that came out in 2019. Uh, so, Carol and I had to look into it because we were like, what is there an Isbin that's on here wrong? Like I don't know what the deal is. And it ended up being that Canopy records were getting grouped with this record on library catalogs that had Canopy. And so we went in and we forced this one to not group. And that did fix our issue and made the descriptions pull from the right places. But the hoopla and like Libby stuff can sometimes cause weirdness because there's some certain prioritizations that happen with where Aspen pulls things from, if it pulls it from the mark versus hoopla or overdrive. But yeah. So that turned into a little bit of a ramble. Interesting things can happen when you're working with records in Aspen. Um, Sometimes it's a mark issue, sometimes it's an Aspen grouping issue. Sometimes it is related to a third-party vendor, whether that's Overdrive or Hoopla or a side load that you've added. Um, you do, though, have ways to fix things, right? So in a lot of cases, like Carol mentioned, we do try and go in and fix the mark first. Usually, and Carol, correct me if I'm wrong, usually an overlay will fix things. Just get updated records and hope for the best.
Yes.
Yes. Um, so usually an overlay will fix things. If not, then we'll look at it a little more in depth. You can force things to group generally for the most part. That one thing that we've been having trouble with, like we've been live for a year and a month now, and that's the first record that we've really had like, I can't get this to group and I'm not sure what's happening. Um, and I think realistically, that's probably just going to be an issue with how Overdrive is putting their info in for that record, but we'll see. Um, Graphic novels are also separated out from their wordy counterparts. That's also something to note. Um, let's see. I want to talk about relatedly, before finally moving on, these records to not group, these are records that we have told Aspen to not group. So that movie, Nobody's Fool, would be found in here. Oh, I see in the chat. Do we use the author authorities tool to fix grouped work issues? We have. Um, let's see. I feel like we had this one, Themistocles Ferreira. or AKA Tim Blessed. They write graphic novels, I believe, and we had issues where we had titles not grouping together because of the like full name and pen name. Oh, look, it's happening again. So we can do this together. So in this case, I'm going to click group with. Um, or actually, we're going to check this first. This might be. No, okay, you know what's happening here? This, I think, Carol, might be a serial.
Yeah, this I'm betting it's the serial, like open record versus the
Yes,
monograph records.
yes, that's definitely what it is. I
Don't
don't know
do
if we
that,
want to open.
people. No, we
We
don't
don't.
want
No,
to.
we're not going to open that can of worms, but don't just individual records. That I recommend that individual
Yes.
records for your titles. But yes, you can use author authorities to help your records group. I will say, just in general, Aspen will make some of your cataloging issues more apparent. I don't
Yes.
want to expand a ton on that
Yeah,
because there's a
we
whole,
can leave
yeah,
it there. Yes.
no,
But
but that, yes. Um, we do have talking about some fun stuff. Yes, and I see the validation in the chat. Thank you, everybody. Yes, that we've been saying we were working on cleanup. We're hoping this is making things better. Ruth, we can always talk another time.
I'm going to ask it anyway. So I'm going to make an assumption based on what you said, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that you are not, that's not like a CW Mars policy to tell your libraries that they should use individual. It's a gentle-ish recommendation for the sake of the catalog. Is that a
so
fair way to put it?
no.
Okay.
We have some of us have very strong opinions about this, and we're trying to get consensus, but it's going to be a very long process.
Okay. So that's essentially what I was asking. I was trying to find a way to spin it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was allowed whenever years ago, and since I have been here,
It was
don't like
allowed
it.
to use a serial record.
E- e- to have both open
Oh,
records or
okay.
monograph records
Okay.
based on library preference.
Okay. And I think that that probably is the status of things across many library systems. Thank you.
Probably. I hope we're not alone.
No, I know that you're not alone. I just don't know everybody's stuff.
Right.
And just on a note, we've got about 15 minutes left.
I don't want to take up your full meeting. Um, I did want to show you guys custom cover images. This is kind of a double whammy, two for one, right? We can talk about Library of Things records and show you these cute custom covers that one of our libraries made. Um, we'll open up some board games. So this is East Longmeadow, one of our member libraries, and we relatedly, I guess I feel relatedly because people were using like a shared telescope record and stuff. Um, we encourage our libraries to make individual Library of Things records, especially if they want to have like their own custom images or they want to have specific, I don't know. I feel like, is that really the only thing? There's specific hold rules or something else. I feel like there's another reason. But anyways, um, we encourage them to have this. And when they do this, it one makes it a lot easier to limit things just down to their items, right? Only East Longmeadow's items are on here. These are all their different board games that they have. But we can also upload this custom cover image. This is something that we have Carol and Cat Center staff do. I will help out if folks are out, but really Carol and her staff are handling a lot of this. We don't let libraries do it because this is not a permission that can be limited like per catalog. So you see here, I'm on East Longmeadow Library of Things board games, and I see that cover image. If I look for the same title on the CW Mars catalog, I will see that same cover image. So we were nervous about people making changes to cover images that, impact everyone when they thought it would only impact their catalog. So we have that as just a network staff permission, and we have them submit their cover images through tickets. We have recommended sizing so that it kind of matches the cover image sizes in Aspen. Um, and then we do ask them to send these as PNG files, just for clarity versus JPEG or JPG files. But then that's it. You go into the record. I'm logged in here, so I can actually see the settings. But basically, to upload these, you would want to log in to with your user with permissions, go to the record, and then scroll down to staff view. This is a setting if staff view appears or not all the time. We have it set up to appear all the time. It's just closed, but I would have my image and then I would click upload cover from computer. You can also upload cover by URL if you want. We just have them, sending us files and downloading them. So upload cover from computer, and then it would give you the file, select your file, and then you could upload it that way. You can then click reload cover if you want. You would also likely need to clear your cache, but it should show up. Um, you can also clear an uploaded cover if you are like, actually, I changed my mind. That looks gross. If you click clear uploaded cover, that will get rid of it and revert to either the previous ILS provided cover, or in our case, often Content Cafe, or it'll revert to the like abstract, weird shape color covers that Aspen will automatically generate. And so we have libraries who are using Aspen. I lost my tab. I'm using Aspen to highlight their different items, right? So we have these library of things. Here's another library with their library of things items. Just thought it was cute. But what we also did on the consortial catalog, and we did this for everyone. So we got this, I think, from Clams, maybe Clams or Minuteman. I think it was Clams. But they sent us the image files that they used for their cover images for museum passes.
No,
And
they didn't. I created all
no,
of those.
no, what? Then why do I have a big file of a bunch of museum pass images on my computer?
I don't know.
So never mind. Take all that back. Carol put in a lot of work and made some beautiful cover images for our museum passes. And these are for museum passes that have records in Evergreen that libraries are adding their copies to. So this way, patrons who are scrolling through the catalog for Museum Pass can quickly see, to an extent, all of the different ones that we have in the network. So this, since we did it, these are shared records, right? Carol just put these together for all of the museum passes and uploaded it. And then as libraries add their copies, they show up on this record. Aspen groups it all together, and you don't have to do anything. Let's see. I had custom cover images. That was kind of the last big thing that I wanted to talk about. Is there anything that you guys wanted to talk about or had questions on? I do have some links that I wanted to share. I think these were also shared at the last catalogers group meeting. But I have the Aspen catalogers group mailing list, the Aspen Slack channel, and the Aspen cataloger meeting notes. I should have sent that first. My apologies.
Yeah, that's great. We'll pull them out and put them in our notes so we can share them.
Yeah, all right. Well, if you guys ever have any questions, you obviously have Carol and she has access to me. I'm also happy to answer questions. Feel free to shoot me an email. If you end up joining the Slack, I'm also in there. Otherwise, thanks for listening to me like talk at you guys about Aspen.
Thank you, Sierra. This has been very helpful. It's the first time we've done this as a group to just stop and look at Aspen together. So I really appreciate you taking time.
Yeah, of course. Oh, and let me just share some of these catalog links too, so folks can poke around if they want. All right. And I think, Jennifer, I saw that you had shared our catalog link already, so I won't share that again. Um, yeah, thanks for having me, and I hope you guys have a fun rest of your meeting and, time.
Let me ask one more question, and then I know it's close to wrapping up. But can you say just a little something about the Aspen Evergreen group that meets?
Yeah, so I will say we are currently trying to find a new meeting time. So actually, let me grab a link to share with you guys. The Aspen for Evergreen users meeting had been previously meeting on the second Thursday of the month, but the Aspen community meeting has been moved, so that will now take place at that time. So we're getting booted from our meeting time.
Mm, Bums.
But I have a form here. If you guys are interested in ever coming to the meeting, we are looking for a new meeting time. So this is just general, like meeting cadence
Mhm.
times, second Thursdays, first Thursdays. If you want to fill that out, feel free. I'll also share the meeting notes for that. We have been, we last met in March. So we meet bi-monthly every other month. So the next meeting would be in May sometime. TBD depending on the form.
Mhm.
But I feel like it has been helpful. We have gotten people from a few different groups and organizations in there. For example, at the last meeting, folks were able to uh, Jason Boyer from Equinox shared some information that helped. I mean, CW Mars has been dealing with the reset your password workflow in Aspen. It was
Right.
only directing patrons back to Evergreen, and we want them to stay in Aspen. So Jason Boyer actually had a fix for it, and that came out because we had brought it up as an issue at the Evergreen meeting, and Jason was like, "Hey, I actually fixed that." So I'm here just for, I want it to be a let's talk about the things that are bothering us and what are
Mhm.
our issues. Um, yeah, if there's any like cataloging specific things in Evergreen that are impacting Aspen, that would also be a good place to talk about it. Maybe also the catalogers meeting, but
Yes, pretty much every month I say something.
I
So
can't
feel
imagine.
free to bring it up.
I just wanted to make sure that we highlighted that's a thing that people can get involved in, even if you don't have Aspen yet.
yes,
Curious.
yes. And that anyone can come. I know, I think Jen from BCLC has been coming
Mhm.
or um, yeah, it's open to anybody. You don't have to be using Aspen or Evergreen. I mean, obviously, I would hope you're using Evergreen if you're going to the Aspen
Good.
for Evergreen users meeting, but maybe you're
Hey,
thinking about it,
just
right?
a fan.
But yeah, it's just getting folks together. I will, once we have solidified the new meeting time, send that out to the general Evergreen listserv.
Great.
There is also, if you do join the Slack, there is an Evergreen Slack channel.
Fabulous. Okay. That was my only note to make sure we got that information out to everybody. Yes, and Dev is coming right up in about 3 minutes. So we have a lot of people that are in both this meeting and the next. So thanks very much. Um, we'll get the Slack invites, Heather. I can send those to you. Make sure that, yeah, we can send those out. I will real quickly say that I will follow up an email on some of the other things that are just notes about Feedback Fest. I've got a few ideas and a few things to share. However, for those of you that are still here and can hear me, I want everyone to thank Elizabeth Davis for all the work she has done on the tabular release notes. They are ready, updated to be shared. All I have to do is convert them and move them over. So she is fabulous. Please thank her. If she is not here, send her an email, tell her she's fabulous, and we will get that note posted to the list sometime soon. Other than that, I will just follow up an email. I won't keep anybody for the last minute and a half. And again, my very, very last note, there's always one more thing, is next month our meeting falls during the Evergreen conference. So we're just going to meet on the last day, the Hack Fest, the day following the conference. So I will send that update out as well. So that's it for me. Thanks to everyone. Thank you for being here. Thanks, Sierra. Thank you so much. Thanks, Carol, for sharing your insight too. See you next month. Take care and take care of each other. Bye.